Hello student, welcome to EPG Pathsala. I am Dr. Ajit Jaswal from Department of Anthropology, Pondicherry Central University, Puducherry. Today we are going to discuss about a module titled Emergence of Modern Humans and Their Dispersal under paper Physical and Biological Anthropology. So let's try to see what we are going to learn from this module. From these modules, we are going to understand the emergence of modern human. We are also going to try to understand the general trend of human evolution, try to study the different proposition of human dispersal. Let's first give you a glimpse of information in the form of introductory. One of the challenges of physical or biological anthropology is to provide insight into the origin of humankind. The fossil record preserved the traces of past life on Earth, clearly charting a progression of simple one-cell organisms to increasingly diverse form or multicellular form. The evolution, even though it is slow, but it is continuous. It is a continuous process. Though the organism transformed from a simpler or primitive to a complex creature. The theories concerning the evolution of life, it date back to the ancient Greek time, but it was only during the 19th century that the first comprehensive theories of evolution were developed. One such early theory of evolution was given by Lamarck in 1809. He proposed the theory which is called as inheritance of acquired character. According to the Lamarck, all those characteristic features which was acquired by any creature during the lifetime will be transferred to the next generation. He also gave the concept of use and disuse theory. According to this theory, if the person is continuously or excessively using certain organ, then that organ become much more specialized, and if the person is not using, that it may lead to the degeneration in the future generation. Similarly, the process of evolution was not fully understood until when Darwin proposed a very remarkable theory called theory of natural selection. Because genetic and origin of variabilities were unknown, therefore this theory was not clearly understood during that time. There is another concept, variation. Variation within the species and reproductive success are the basis of natural selection. As Darwin clearly mentioned, survival of the fittest. This survival of the fittest is the product of struggle for existence. When there is a struggle for existence, all those which are somewhat better in nature, those who undergo variations and their reproductive success ultimately lead to the formation of evolved one, better one, which are better suited to the next environment. Since the 1920s, when evolution thought that natural selection was tied to a genetical concept, ultimately the whole feature has been changed. Evolution has now been understood as the combined effect of four important forces. First, natural selection as explained by Darwin. Gene mutation, that is a continuous by chance changes in the gene. Gene flow and genetic drift. This four important feature is very important in the evolution. If we talk about the human evolution is characterized by a number of morphological, developmental and physiological and behavioral changes. So we can see the morphological changes, we can see the developmental or embryological changes, we can see the physiological changes along with the behavioral changes that have taken place since the split between the last common ancestor of human and chimpanzee. The most significant of these adaptations are that because of that we call it altogether a very advanced among the living creatures are their bipedal nature. They start walking on two legs. There is increased brain size, what we call an encephalization. Refinement of hand structure. Now the hand is altogether free to carry out specific work. Reduction in face, because they are supposed to walk, so they undergo changes in the reduction of face, jaws and tooth size. As the food habit is also modified, now they are using a properly cooked food, somewhat cut food. Due to this, all these features that place them in somewhat in an advanced position in the phylogenetic tree of living creature. Along with, there is a decreased sexual dimorphism and development of technology in the form of refinement of tool design. Other significant morphological changes includes the evolution of power and precise grip. The figure clearly shows the similarity and differences in the skull of Australopithecus afarensis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, which shows the emergence of modern humans and their dispersal. We can see the top arrow which explains the enlargement of brain, and lower arrow shows the decrease in the jaws as well as teeth structure. The skull of Australopithecus afarensis is similar to that of modern chimpanzee, but as it proceeds toward the human evolution, we can see a drastic change in the skull, especially the upper regions, both lower and upper jaws, and also see the changes in the teeth. Bipedalism. Bipedalism is the basic adaptation of the hominid line and is considered the main cause behind a suite of skeletal changes shared by all bipedal hominin. The earliest bipedal hominin is considered to be either Sahelanthropus with Ardipithecus, a full biped, coming somewhat later. The knuckle walker, that is the gorilla and chimpanzee, diverged around the same time. The early bipedal eventually evolved into the Australopithecus and later the genus Homo. There are several theories of the adaptation value of bipedalism. It is possible that bipedalism was favored because it freed up the hand for reaching and carrying food, saved energy during locomotion, enabled long-distance running and hunting, enhanced field of vision. Anatomically, the evolution of bipedalism has been accompanied by a large number of skeletal changes, not just to the leg and pelvis, but also to the skull, vertebral column, pelvis, femur, feet and ankle. Increase in brain size. There has been a trend towards increased brain size and complexity during human evolution. The size increase was slightly during the approximately 3 million years of the evolutionary history of the Australopithecus and early Homo lineage, but rather rapid during the Middle Pleistocene in Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. Increased brain size and the complexity were probably related to tool manufacture and use, increasing environmental challenges and more complex social group, among other factors. Refinement of hand structure. Primates are hand-to-mouth feeder that pluck and catch items selectively by hand before ingesting them. Without tool, hominin would have relied on the versatilities and strength of their hand to collect food and on their teeth and jaw alone to process it. Unless they used tool to fashion carrying devices such as bags from animal skin, they would have needed a reliable source of water nearby, and they would also have been limited in the types and number of objects that they could transport through their range. In addition to transporting object and water, there is the more obvious utility of animal skin in protecting against night chill, rain and strong sunshine. The features of human hand are easily distinguishable from those of great apes, and they underpin our refined manipulatory abilities. The most complex adaptations of the human hand involve the thumb, which is fully opposable, wherein a unique, fully independent muscle gives this digit remarkable strength in pinch and power grip. The fingertips are broad and equipped with highly sensitive pads of skin. The proportional length of the thumb and other fingers give us an opposable thumb with precise, firm contact between its tip and the ends of each of the other finger. Australopithecus afarensis is the earliest hominin species to assess manipulatory capabilities. They were capable of gripping sticks and stone firmly for vigorous pounding and throwing, but they lack a fully developed human power grip. Homo habilis from Olduvai Gorge in northern Tanzania represent an advance over those of Australopithecus afarensis in features related to tool use. Because of an absence of fossil, it is not possible to track certain refinements in hand structure. Only prehistoric and modern Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis are fully represented by hand skeleton. We can see the reduction of face, jaw and tooth size. In hominid evolution, a series of interrelated changes is noticed that are primarily associated with diet and food processing requirement. The oldest fossil hominids have a protruding or prognathous face. In addition, their incisor and canine teeth are large compared to those of modern humans. There are gaps, or what is called as diastema, between the teeth of the opposable jaw. The teeth were arranged in a U-shaped pattern approximately 2 million years ago. These characteristics start to become less pronounced in hominids. Early representatives of genus Homo have smaller canines, and the gap associated with larger teeth disappear. In the evolution of hominid dentition, the size of the teeth has decreased. The reduction in size of the teeth may be related to the development of tool use and a more meat-oriented diet. The modern human jaw is smaller and shorter related to the skull than in the ape jaw. Since human food is usually cut up or in some way processed into smaller pieces so that it is easier to chew, humans do not need to exert much pressure when chewing it as the apes do. In time, of course, fire was as used to cook meat, thus tenderizing it. In modern human, the evolution of small jaw has resulted in the development of a chin, a product of changes in the growth and development pattern of jaw. We also see decreased sexual dimorphism. The reduced degree of sexual dimorphism is visible primarily in the reduction of the male canine tooth relative to other ape species and reduced brow ridges and general robustness of male. Refinements in tool design. Stone tools are first attested around 2.6 million years ago, when Homo habilis in eastern Africa used so-called pebble tools, choppers made out of round pebbles that had been split by simple strikes. This marked the beginning of a Paleolithic or Old Stone Age. In Africa, the early Paleolithic comprises several industries, with the earliest man-made chipped flake and core chopper, double-faced hand axe, cleaver, and picks appeared around 1.5 million years ago, and it persisted until about 200 million years ago. The major bifacial industry, or the Acheulean, has been characterized by refinement over time, finally resulted in elegant symmetrical hand axes that require notable skill to make. The associated tools of Homo erectus are chopper, chopping tool, flakes, and scrapers, but there are no bifaces among them. The Middle Paleolithic was characterized by an explosion of local and regional variation in size and shape, and by frequencies of reshaped flakes, blades, scrapers, hand axe, and other tools. Middle Paleolithic tools as a whole are characterized by carefully prepared cores from which elegant flakes or blades were struck. Late Paleolithic industries comprises diverse blade and micro-blade tools, especially in Europe. Late Paleolithic period used a variety of material for their tools and bodily ornament, including bone, stone, wood, antlers, ivory, and shell. Stone blades were long, thin, and very effective cutting tools. Power and precision grip. The hand is capable of several types of prehensile function. In the power grip, the animal grabs an object between the palm and the finger. In this position, much force can be applied. All primates are capable of the power grip. More important for fine manipulation of object is the precision grip, where the animal holds an object between the thumb and the finger. This is made possible by the presence of an opposable thumb. The human thumb is able to oppose the other finger, and so the fleshy tip of the thumb come into direct contact with the fleshy tip of all fingers. In the ape, the finger are elongated and the metacarpals and phalanges are curved. In human, these bones are straight, thus help in power and precision grip. Proposition of human dispersal. A question concerning the origin and early dispersion of Homo sapiens sapiens continued to fuel much controversy among the paleoanthropologists. It is now wonder for member of early Homo sapiens sapiens are our distant or direct kin and are thus closely related to all contemporary human beings. They are much alike us skeletally, genetically, and most likely behaviorally as well. As we have seen, the skeletal structure of them and as well as modern one is very similar. Genetically, almost very similar, except a very small difference is there. Behavior wise also we have seen there is a quite overlapping. So, the evolutionary story of Homo sapiens sapiens is really a biological autobiography of all of us. It is a story that still has many unanswered questions. Many questions are there which is altogether hanging here and there, and because we don't have a clear cut phylogenetic tree, still sometimes we find some in between interlinking species or missing link or some of the character which suddenly reappeared which was altogether absent in the previous form. But several theories have been proposed that seek to organize the diverse information that is presently available. There are two major theories that attempt to organize and explain modern human origin. One is a complete replacement model where complete changes take place. One is altogether occupied by the other and the previous one is lost. And the second is regional continuity model. It is just continuous with little bit modification at specific particular time. These two views are quite distinct and in some way diametrically opposed to each other, because there is a altogether one is completely replacing the other and second is just continuity with little bit modification. Indeed, there is third theory what is called partial replacement model. It is not the total replacement, but partially they replaced and occupied the previous one, and the previous one or what is called the later one, they undergo some modification, and in this way there is a partial replacement took place, and this is called as partial replacement model. So there is mainly three major theories. One is complete replacement model, second is the regional continuity model, and third is the partial replacement model. The complete replacement model, also called as out of Africa model. In brief, this theory proposed that anatomically modern population arose in Africa within the last 200,000 years, then migrated from Africa, completely replacing the population of Europe and Asia. According to this view, there could be no admixture of migrating African modern Homo sapiens with local population, because the African modern humans were a biologically different species. Next is the regional continuity model. It is called as multi-regional model. This model suggests that local population, not all of course, in Europe, Asia and Africa continued their indigenous evolutionary development from primitive or archaic Homo sapiens to anatomically modern humans. The emergence of Homo sapiens was not restricted to any one area, but was a phenomenon that occurred throughout the entire geographic range where humans lived. Partial replacement model. The partial replacement model also began with the African with early archaic Homo sapiens. Later, also in Africa, anatomically modern Homo sapiens population first evolved. Brewer sees the initial disposal of Homo sapiens sapiens out of South Africa as significantly influenced by shifting environmental conditions and thus a gradual process. Moving into Eurasia, modern humans hybridized probably to a limited degree with resident archaic group and eventually replaced them. The disappearance of archaic human was therefore due to both hybridization and replacement and was a gradual and complex process. Now let's try to revise the important emerging point of these modules. As we have already discussed that human evolutionary trend is characterized by a number of morphological, developmental, physiological and behavioral features. The most significant of these trends are their development and their acquiring of a two-leg behavior, that is bipedalism, development in their brain or modification in the brain, that is encephalization, modification in the hand like refinement of hand structure, reduction in the face, jaws and teeth, decreased sexual dimorphism, refinement of tool design or technological development, power and precise grip as the hand is now free for carry out this work. Due to the achievement of bipedalism, several changes had taken places in the skeletal structure, like increased brain size and the complexity were probably related to tool manufacturing and use. Increasing environmental changes and more complex social group among other factors. Changes in the food habit resulted into the reduction of prognathism, that is the bulging of the face. Prognathous face decreases in the, along with there is a decrease in the size of the teeth. We have also seen the gradual development of brain, freeness of hand, development of precision grip. All this helped human to prepare gradually refined and effective tools. The complete replacement model of human dispersal denotes that anatomically modern population arose in Africa within the last 200,000 years and then migrated from Africa to other continents, completely replacing the population of Europe and Asia. Whereas the regional continuity model, it favors or advocates that the local population, not all of course, in Europe, Africa and Asia continued their indigenous evolutionary development from the primitive archaic Homo sapiens to anatomically modern human. Thank you.